August 18th, the country responds to the budget. This is Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, I'm Katrina Marshall saying thank you for making us here on Morning Barbados your first choice to start your morning off right with. A lot has been going on in the country, but before I get into that, time for me to say morning to Cassandra Crawford. Morning, Kat.
Good morning to you. How are you doing today, Katrina?
I'm good. Keeping a very keen eye on what's happening in the budget and the response. How about you?
Well, everybody's paying attention.
Yep.
This is the space we live in, so we've got to know what's going on in it. I hope you're doing good as well. A special good morning to you. Cassandra Crawford with you. As Katrina mentioned, Colin's not with us this week, but certainly we look forward to having his company again during next week. So I hope you had a good evening on Wednesday, and of course that's what people usually call the halfway point of the week, and if you are good past that, then you're pretty much good to go.
Cruising down to Friday.
Already?
Cruising down to Friday. It feels
really
like we were just
fast.
there. It feels like we were just there. Yeah.
But we're giving thanks in all things. Another day, it's a beautiful morning, some showers out there. The road is kind of in that slick sort of state, so please be careful as you're driving. Check your air pressure in the tires, and make sure that you are good to go. That's all I can tell you. Good little tips, but we'll talk some more. Katrina's got some morning top lines for you.
I do indeed. As we said, we've been discussing the opposition response to the financial and budgetary proposals that were laid in Parliament by Finance Minister Chris Sinclair. Opposition leader Owen Arthur has described Finance Minister Chris Sinclair's budget as an exercise in bogus accounting and nothingness. He says no real relief has been offered to Barbadians who are still suffering 10 months after his last budget presentation. Mr. Arthur says there is a real crisis and disorder at the core of the financial and economic affairs of the country. A peaceful, organized but powerful protest. This is how President of the Clement Payne Movement, David Comishong, has described the protest at both the U.S. Embassy and the British High Commission yesterday. Around 50 people representing several civil organizations participated in the protest, which was closely monitored by about 13 police officers. A mixed response as the corporate sector has met to discuss the budgetary proposals by the finance minister. The post-budget breakfast meeting was organized by the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry at the Hilton Hotel. BCCI President Andy Armstrong believes the finance minister gave as much support as he could to businesses. A senior executive of one of the largest financial services organizations in the world is advising Barbados to seize the opportunities that exist even in this time of economic crisis. The advice comes from Barbadian Alan Smith, the global head of risk strategy at HSBC Holdings. He says one example is the changing way in which emerging market professionals are being seen by the Western world. Those have been your Morning Barbados top lines. Do join us at the top of the hour at 7 o'clock for a full news package. But for right now, we find out what's making headlines around the world. And before Cassandra goes to the newspapers, I have to tell you, Cassandra, that one of the funniest stories I heard yesterday was a noted French actor, Gérard Depardieu. He's about 62 years old. You might have noticed him from the Three Musketeers and the Man in the Iron Mask movie. Well, he had a bit of a problem on an Air France jet.
What's that?
Well, he needed to answer a call of nature, and just the air hostess allowed him to know that you were not allowed to go before the 15 minutes that you were airborne. And he kind of had no choice but to go. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Wow.
The French newspapers are having a ball with it. Cassandra's going to come.
Giving some sympathies.
He should have been given a cup. But anyway,
oh dear.
We'll find out what's happening internationally.
That's an embarrassing situation.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But we have some international top lines as well, just from the International Herald Tribune. Thanks to Newspaper Direct. We want to say thank you for providing it each and every weekday morning. A number of headlines in here. I'll read a few and give you a story of hope. Affair sinks, boy wonder of Merkel's fragile party. You can follow that story. The Rising Star long used Facebook and other sites to detail his private life. I'm sure you want to know what that's all about, so read on and follow that story. Early flaws of the euro are resurfacing in the debt crisis. Europe has never found it easy to define itself, and now it is having more trouble than ever doing so. When the rules of the euro were first drafted 15 years ago, the leaders of France and Germany had to compromise even to agree on its name. Berlin wanted a stability pact emphasizing Germanic fiscal discipline, while the French leaders insisted on adding growth to the title to make it more palatable to their voters. You can follow that one up as well. And protest transforms once silent Syrian city. How is that happening? Well, the narrower the streets of the city, a cauldron of revolt and resistance against 4 decades of rule by the Assad family, the blunter the graffiti becomes. It is scrawled on walls, garbage bins, phone booths, doors, and even tree trunks. As a city that was long very quiet declares these days that it will no longer stay quiet. It says here, "We won't bow to anyone but God." That's according to one slogan. And the story of hope I mentioned, U.S. agency offers a startup fund to inventors aiming for the stars. Alpha Centauri or bust. The U.S. government agency that helped invent the internet now wants to do the same for travel to the stars. And what is perhaps the ultimate startup opportunity, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, plans to award some lucky, ambitious, and starstruck organization roughly $500,000 in seed money to begin studying what it would take organizationally, technically, sociologically, and of course ethically to send humans to another star. A challenge of such magnitude that the study alone could take, get this, 100 years. Okay, so we want to be around to know how that turns out.
Probably
Katrina?
not. Probably not.
Nonetheless, turning our attention to the daily newspapers right here at home, we want to say thanks again to Newspaper Direct. Remember, check them out, 436-1314, or the website www.newspaperdirect.com. The Daily Nation for Thursday, August 18th, family urges support for the walk. You can find out what that story is about. Fire destroys St. James House on page 7. QC results pleasing. If you're wondering, well, you can follow it as well. And budget reply reports on pages 3 to 5 and 23 to 35. And on the front cover, there's a family, but there's a big headline that says fluff. Owen Sinclair failed to address burning issues. That's according to the Right Honorable Owen Arthur. That's the picture on the front cover. And if we turn our attention to the back cover, we would have mentioned this march right here on Morning Barbados, March for Libya. There you see some of the demonstrators taking to the streets, bearing various placards. And if we pick up the Barbados Advocate for today, Thursday, similar headlines. Budget addresses both economy and society. That's according to Seeley. And there's another big headline saying, "Tell the truth." This is what it looks like on the front cover. And of course, on the back cover, "Review Capital City." That's what's happening on the back cover. So you can get the papers and get the details, certainly, to all these stories. So we've got our own stories here on Morning Barbados, Katrina.
Always got
As
stories
always.
to tell. Always stories to tell. There will be some beautiful, sweet music as we begin to feature the Teen Talent Competition winners. I see some very spiffy-looking folk in uniform sitting on the couch behind me, so hopefully that will be another story for us to tell. But we're spiriting through this Thursday edition. Keep your eyes peeled. The reply by the opposition continues at 10 o'clock here on CBC TV8. But for now, we take a very short break and come back with Morning Barbados.
Morning Barbados, good morning.